Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in the third International Conference on English Language Teaching, or ICON-ELT 2022. Let me introduce ourselves first. My name is Zhintya Dewi Intan Permata Sari, as the first author and the only presenter in these presentations. And the second author is Muhammad Arif Mahbub. We are from Universitas Islam Jember. Today, I will present my research study entitled Undergraduate Students' Perception Toward Edmodo Integrations into EFL Classrooms, an interview study. Let's move in the next slide. Introductions. There are several points that can explain. The research context or issues in my project is the integrations of learning management systems such as Edmodo in EFL class has gained a sort of trend during the pandemic periods. This is supported by previous study IDIN 2021. Unal and Uzun 2021 claim that Edmodo is one application that has been recognized as an expected learning tool in education by combining social networking in classroom utilizations. In Indonesians, especially in some private universities, there are teacher or lecturer rarely use the application in teaching or learning activities. So, the gap in my research study is to investigate the limited integrations of Edmodo that situated in the Indonesian EFL classrooms. The third objective is to investigate student perceptions of Edmodo about the integration of Edmodo into an Indonesian EFL writing classrooms. So, my research contributions is to providing a practical teaching learning model in the context of EFL. This can answer my research questions. How do undergraduate students' perceptions of Edmodo integration into EFL classrooms? Move to the next slide is research method. This research paradigms is used constructivism by Creswell 2018 with a qualitative forward approach. And the design is interview study was employed by Kifale 2007. Purposive sampling by Jupe 2015 that we used to recruit the participant, which is consists of 3 participants from one of a private university in Jember. There are 2 female and 1 female students. The interview guidelines were adopted from ECMECI 2016 as follows. First, student experience of using Edmodo during online learning. Second, the effectiveness of Edmodo for assessment tool. And the third, the pros of using Edmodo in the class. And the fourth, the cons of using Edmodo in the class. Semi-structured interview by Berquisen et al. 2014 is to collect the data. And the data analyzed is used thematic analysis by Brown and Clark 2006. To validate the data, we use the theory of trustworthiness by Lincoln and Guba 1985, peer debriefing technique by Janasic 2015. The next slide is findings. The first statement is about the first hand using Edmodo. Some students feel very easy to use and useful, and another have a difficulties in using Edmodo since they are the first-time users. It means that the lecturers need to introduce the application intensively, so that the process of teaching a learning activity has become more conducive without experiencing any technological constraints. Second is about the effectiveness of Edmodo for assessment tools. Some students feel have a wonderful experience, and another state that Edmodo is very effective for assessment tool and good educational tool in teaching learning process in COVID outbreak conditions. The third, the pros of using Edmodo in the class. There are several beneficial features in the Edmodo, such as feedback feature and credible assessment tool. Another student state the powerful aspect of deadline submission in this learning management system can increase student self-discipline. Thus, future assist to make it easier for lecturer to interact with students actively and make teaching and learning activities more effective. And last, the cons of using Edmodo. Bad internet connections can make a website running slower because Edmodo is one of the most popular online learning platforms by using any device with internet access. The lack of Edmodo is string in term the deadline for submit the assignment. It means that students cannot submit the assignment beyond the time limit that has been set. And last, there is no setting to change the language. It's just only one language, English language, and no private comment field for teacher and students. The next slide is discussions. The study is congruent with several previous studies are the first, about the first hand using Edmodo, which is congruent with previous study by Al-Khatiri 2015 and Kongchan 2008. And the second is about the effectiveness of Edmodo for assessing the student outcome. This finding is in line with earlier study by Kongchan 2008 and Ekmeki 2016. And the third, about the advantage of Edmodo. This is supported by the previous study, Yunku and Chankaya 2017 and Balasubramaniam et al. 2014. And the last, the advantage of Edmodo as online learning platform by Kodaria 2017. Last in conclusions. The conclusion is Edmodo has been recognized as an educational tool. Students had a positive views toward Edmodo used in education during COVID outbreak conditions. The student perceived that Edmodo as a user-friendly application, practical, time-saving, funny, and increased student self-discipline. The simple appearance of Edmodo becomes an excellent learning platform that can motivate the student and actively increase student interest. However, they consider that traditional face-to-face learning should not be replaced with online learning. The implication of this current research is the teacher are able to integrate both online and face-to-face learning as one of the effective teaching methods. This current research has several limitations. They are the participants who involved in the study are still limited. We did the research in a very short time, and this research does not cover a wide area. Therefore, it is recommended for further research to investigate the impact of Edmodo in online learning. It is hoped that the further researchers can conduct research with a large scale of participants in a wider population area and sufficient time. Thank you for attention and thank you for joining in my presentations. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.